Welcome to a special edition of KOMU 8 News. I'm Jim Rake, and thanks for joining us this evening. It's election night across America. We're going to do something we've never done before. For the next hour and a half, we're going to bring you analysis and context about the Missouri races as well as the presidential race. On our new streaming platform, we want to remind you that this show will be streaming on our website, the KOMU mobile app, also on Roku and Apple TV. We hope you'll stick with us throughout the evening. Right now, we are broadcasting live from the studios here at the Reynolds Journalism Institute, RJI, on the MU campus. In the meantime, Emily Spain is holding the fort down at the KOMU 8 studios. How are you doing this evening, Emily?
Yeah, hey Jim, it's going to be a busy night, that's for sure. And we've got about 10 teams totaling about 30 people all across mid-Missouri and the state. And I'll be joining you every half hour or so to bring you the latest on local returns. And we'll also have some live updates from the field. And as you know, Jim, NBC News will also have that extensive coverage of the presidential race. So if you want to keep Channel 8 on your TV and our streaming show on your laptop, your cell phone, we will have you covered for the night and well into the morning if we have to.
Okay, sounds very good. Election clerks started tabulating absentee and mail-in ballots early this morning. Polls opened at 6 a.m. in Boone County. A new tabulating machine was put to work to help with the large number of mail-in votes. There were thousands of mail-in and in-person absentee ballots in Boone County. KOMU 8's Matt McCabe joins us live via Skype from the county clerk's office downtown.
Jim, right now I'm at the Boone County Government Center. I'm on the first floor here, and if you just take a look behind me, they have all of these carts lined up, and these are ready to receive the precinct results as they bring them in after polls close. And actually, they just closed now shortly at 7 p.m. And so those will be here any minute now. We actually spoke to Boone County Clerk Brianna Lennon just minutes ago before we came on the air. And she said so far they know that they've had about 60,000, just more than 60,000 people so far today vote in person. But she said she expects that number to get closer to about 91,000 people. And the latest numbers for mail-in and absentee ballots is 28,000 ballots. So again, We've got all of this lined up just all around the first floor of the Government Center right now. The tabulating room itself that you talked about, Jim, it's up on the second floor up there in the corner, and they were busy in that room today. They had a second machine that was going to help them out counting all of the influx of mail-in and absentee ballots. And so we'll be here all night, and at 9 and 10 we're going to talk about the latest updates with numbers that we know, and of course watch the results as those start to come in. Live in Columbia, Matt McCabe, KOMU 8 News.
Okay, Matt, thank you very much. And of course, the biggest race in the Show Me State is the race for governor. As soon as we get numbers, we will start posting them. The incumbent Mike Parson is running up against the state auditor, Nicole Galloway. KOMU 8's Catherine Merck is live at Parson's watch party in Springfield. And Catherine, what is it like there?
Hello, Jim. I'm here at the convention center at the Bass Pro Shop in Springfield, where Governor Mike Parson's watch party is about to go underway. Now, most of the day so far has been campaign staff and media getting ready for the events that are coming later tonight. Earlier today, I spoke with Parson's communications director, who talked about COVID-19 safety going on at the event tonight. So we're going to take a look at the crowd that's here right now. If I could flip my camera around, you can see the first of the guests have started to trickle in. They have Fox News on in the background. Here is the podium where guest speakers will soon begin to start speaking, and the governor will eventually speak. And there's the rest of the room there. Now, the communications director told me that everyone here will be wearing masks. They're expecting about 250 people. And they're wearing those masks because Springfield currently has a mask ordinance in place. Now, behind me here, I did talk about how Governor Parson will be speaking there. The guest speakers will start to speak at around 8 o'clock. So for more updates on that, make sure to keep up with me on my Twitter at Catherine Merck TV and on KOMU 8 News' various social media accounts. But until then, reporting live in Springfield, this is Catherine Merck, KOMU 8 News.
Catherine, thank you very much. And now let's talk about the challenger who wants to unseat the incumbent. KOMU8's Aaron Davis joins us just a few blocks away at the Tiger Hotel here in downtown Columbia with Nicole Galloway's campaign.
That's right, Jim. Tiger Hotel is the last stop in what Galloway's campaign has been describing as a long day. She started in St. Louis this morning at about 7:30 and is ending here with what was scheduled to start at 7 p.m. Right now, we're in a room with just reporters, as you can see, and because the public is not allowed inside due to COVID-19 restrictions. While we're down here, Galloway is upstairs in a room with her family awaiting the election results. And her campaign told us she's not planning on coming down until she knows them. The campaign also said they're really excited and have feel like they have good momentum behind the energy that they've been feeling all day. If the election is called tonight, we'll have Galloway's speech live streamed on KOMU's Facebook, and you can follow along on Twitter at Aaron Davis News, as I'll be keeping people updated with what is going on down here. Reporting live in Columbia, Aaron Davis, KOMU8 News.
Okay, thank you very much for that live report. And now let's take a look at Amendment 3, the ballot initiative, which would reform voter-approved Clean Missouri. Now, remember, the polls just closed, so we probably don't have numbers yet on Amendment 3. However, KOMU8's Elise Schoening has been following the returns, and she joins us now in the newsroom. Elise, what do you have for us?
Well, that's right, Jim. With Amendment 3 in the ballot, many Missourians are asking the same question over what it would actually do. Now, to recap, the amendment would eliminate lobbyist gifts and lower campaign contribution limits, but also change the way the state is redistricted and who's in charge of that process. Now, Missourians have seen an amendment like this before, just back in 2018, which created the nonpartisan position currently in charge of redistricting the state. And if Amendment 3 passes, it will undo what 62% of Missourians voted for 2 years ago. Since redistricting happens every 10 years with the census, we wouldn't get to see what changes it will make here in Missouri. Supporters of this amendment are calling it Fair Missouri for giving Missourians a second chance to choose who will represent them. And opponents of the amendment are calling it Dirty Missouri for confusing ballot language. And as you said, results are pouring in from across the state, and we'll continue to bring you any updates on Amendment 3 at KOMU.com. And we'll also have reactions from both sides of the issue tonight on KOMU8 News at 9 and 10. Reporting live from the station, Elise Schoening, KOMU8 News.
Okay, Elise, thank you very much. And as we said earlier, we have reporters all across mid-Missouri and the entire state of Missouri. Here's a look at some of the other races our crews are following tonight.
I'm Sydney Moran covering Vicki Hartzler as she runs for her 4th term to represent Missouri's 4th congressional district. She's a Missouri native, lifelong farmer, and a small business owner. She says this office requires somebody who has experience not only in office, but in real life.
I'm Marion Bouchon. I'm covering Lindsay Simmons as she runs for her 1st congressional term in office. She attended Harvard Law School, worked as an attorney, and she wants her voters to know that she's married to an active duty military member. I spoke to Simmons, and she says that this congressional race comes down to getting rid of someone who agrees so closely with President Donald Trump.
I'm Alex Engel covering Caleb Rowden's state Senate campaign. He's the current Senate Majority Leader and incumbent. He was previously a state representative. He says his record of results and experience is what makes him qualified to keep serving mid-Missouri.
I'm Avery Everett covering the Judy Baker campaign for the Missouri State Senate. Baker is a Columbia native. She worked for the Missouri State House of Representatives and also the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. With COVID-19 as a top issue this election, Baker hopes voters will note her passion and dedication for public health.
I'm Marina Silva covering the 3rd District congressional race here in Missouri between Blaine Luetkemeyer and Megan Rezovic. Luetkemeyer has held this seat since 2008, and he says he feels pretty good about how today will go. KOMU8 has tried to reach out to Megan and has not heard back for 2 months.
I'm Lauren Schwenker, and I have been following the Southern Boone County Commissioner seat. Republican Fred Perry is running again for his 2nd term against Democratic nominee Justin Aldred. Perry believes that he will be the best fit because he has the most experience. Perry was a former longtime magazine publisher and served on the Columbia Housing Authority as a commissioner. Justin Aldred is from Ashland and previously worked under State Auditor Nicole Galloway. Aldred thinks he will be the best pick because he will bring more communication and transparency from the county government.
I'm John Jenko covering the Boone County Commissioner Northern District race between Democratic incumbent Janet Thompson and Republican Tristan Asbury. Thompson is a former public defender who was first elected in 2012. She feels confident about the race today, saying her work funding internet hotspots and utility assistance shows her ability to address issues person by person. Asbury is a business owner in Boone County. We reached out to him multiple times throughout the day. We have not heard back. His campaign website says Asbury supports fiscally responsible county budgets and wants to see more money put towards the improvement of road infrastructure.
Well, we do have a lot of reporters hitting the streets tonight. We have two guests standing by. Tracy Wilson Kleekamp from Race Matters Friends and professor and former White House correspondent Kathy Kiley will join us, and we will be right back. Well, welcome back. Kathy Kiley and I are now joined with political science professor Peveril Squire, who is joining us by Skype. And Dr. Squire, we thank you for joining us on such an important night. The polls closed here in mid-Missouri about 30 minutes ago. But while we wait for numbers to start coming in, we want to talk about the big decisions tonight. Let's talk about the gubernatorial race. Your thoughts on Mike Parson and Nicole Galloway?
Well, we would assume that Parson would be the favorite, given that Republicans have been doing well in Missouri for the last couple of election cycles. But as we know, this is an extraordinary year. And of course, both Parson and Galloway initially got to their current positions by being appointed rather than elected. So there's a lot of uncertainty about what's going to happen. We'll have to see what turnout was like in St. Louis, Kansas City, and how the suburbs outside of St. Louis go.
Peveril, Kathy, thank you very much for your time. I am now joined by my colleague, Emily Spain, who is live in the KYMU studio. And Emily, what's going on there?
Presidential candidates, and obviously very too early to tell anything really. NBC has so far Biden with 51 electoral college votes and Trump with 42. Of course, again, that's according to NBC's projections. One state they're really watching closely, obviously you guys were just talking about it, Florida, and right now there are 90%, 91% of precincts reporting, and Trump currently holding the lead there with 50.6% of the votes, and Biden with 48.4% of the votes in Florida. And obviously that's a big state, 29 electoral votes in Florida, so one that folks are closely watching tonight. Also taking a look at Texas, it's another state, 38 electoral votes, and right now Biden is holding the lead there. Of course, just 62% of precincts reporting. Biden holding the lead with 50.8% of the votes, and Trump at 47.8% of the votes in Texas. So those are two of those big states, hold a lot of weight with the Electoral College. Also, folks are keeping an eye on Ohio and Pennsylvania. Remember, both Biden and Trump spent a lot of time in Pennsylvania for the final few days of the campaign. Right now, there's only 10% reporting in Pennsylvania, with Biden in the lead with 65.1% of the vote and 34.2% of the vote with Trump. But again, just 10% of the votes the precincts reporting in Pennsylvania. Another state that has a lot of eyes is Ohio. 18 electoral votes up for grabs there, with Trump at 43.9%, Biden leading with 54.9%. 49% of precincts reporting. So we're starting to get an idea of how the votes are falling along the East Coast and moving into the Midwest. The polls to our west are still open until 9 p.m. Eastern time, so a little bit more time to vote in to our west, and then all the way on the West Coast, polls don't close in California until 10 o'clock Central Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. So still a lot of time for things to play out, a lot of votes still left to count, and as you all were talking about, this could go into a few days from now. We might not know exactly a for sure winner tonight, but again, a lot of talk about Florida right now with 90% of the precincts in. NBC News has spent a lot of time focusing in on the Miami-Dade area, which Hillary Clinton won easily in 2016, but the margin between the two candidates in 2020 a little bit more slim than in 2016. So still waiting for votes to come in here in Missouri. We only have 3% of precincts reporting in Missouri, but I'll tell you what we got so far. 10 electoral votes up for grabs in our home state here in Missouri. Biden leading 51.3%, Trump with 47.5%, but again, just 3% of precincts reporting. So votes are just starting to trickle in Missouri as polls closed about 45 minutes ago, but remember, if you were in line at 7, you still were able to vote. So Jim, a lot going on here in the newsroom, bunch of crews out there reporting for us, and we'll have another update for folks watching the NBC coverage coming up here in about 7 minutes or so.
Okay, Emily, thank you very much. I'm going to send it back to KOMU8's Emily Spain in the studio.
Yeah, hey Jim, we're actually out of the newsroom now. We wanted to give you a behind the scenes tour of what things look like. And so let's take you now into the KOMU newsroom to show you some of our crew that's here working tonight. So this is the newsroom. We're going to walk you down over here. These folks here in the middle, these are our producers. They're working on our newscasts for tonight, those cut-ins that you might be seeing if you're watching NBC News. They're putting those together, organizing when you see those reporters, when you'll see different information about the races. So they're organizing the show and compiling all the information. So let's walk down a little bit further. Of course, it wouldn't be an election night if you didn't have some candy, right? We have to fuel our team as well. Why not with a little bit of sugar, right? And if we move over here, we have another group. We have some of our directors who make sure that things run smoothly on the air. They decide when the video starts, when the sound comes through, and just a lot of teamwork goes into what you see. Also, if we move this way, we'll show you our digital team in the conference room. They're working on everything you see on our website and on our social pages as well. So there's our folks back there in the conference room working on the web. Hey guys! So we wanted to update you on some of the numbers that we have so far as those numbers start to come in and as the races or the precincts start to come in and as the polls have closed around 7 o'clock. So I'm going to take you into our control room to get a look at some of the races, some of the numbers that we have so far. So as you can see, it's a tight room in here. We do have some protection up for folks that are in here at the same time. But first, let's take a look at the race for governor. With 14% of precincts reporting, Nicole Galloway has 63% of the vote, and Governor Mike Parson has 36% of the vote. Now, we do not know where these precincts are that are reporting so far, but we do know that we have 14% in so far. Moving on to the next issue, Amendment 3. 1% reporting, so still not many precincts reporting on this one, but the yeses have it with just that 1% at 57% voting yes. Moving on to the next race for Missouri State Senate District 19, with 0% reporting, still waiting on this from Caleb Rowden against Judy Baker. And in the race for the Boone County District 1 Commissioner, again 0% reporting. This is against incumbent Fred Perry and Justin Allred. Looking like it'll be 0% for the next one as well, but let's take a look. Maybe not. Yeah, still 1%. Tristan Asbury and Janet Thompson, Janet being the incumbent in that race. Let's check in on the Missouri's 4th Congressional District race with 5% reporting. Vicki Hartzler with a strong lead here, 82%. She's the incumbent, been serving in that position since 2010. So Lindsey Simmons with 16% of the vote. And in the 3rd Congressional District, Blaine Luetkemeyer against Megan Rezebeck. Blaine with 60% of the vote, 39% going to Megan with 1% of precincts reporting. So it is still very early in the night here. We're still waiting for a lot of those election results to come in, and we will have them for you on KOMU8, both online and on the air. So a lot of things going on here in the newsroom to make sure that we can bring you coverage you can count on. For now, Jim, we'll send it back to you.
Okay, Emily, thank you very much. And Kathy, we were touching on it just before we went to Emily, and you want to talk about Amendment 3, Clean Missouri. What do you think about the redo vote?
Well, we'll see what happens.
Keep an eye on Amendment 3 tonight for sure. And I think maybe we have some governor's numbers here, if we can put those up behind me. There we go. Okay. 16% of the precincts reporting, and Nicole Galloway has a huge lead over the incumbent. If you jump down there to the lieutenant governor's race, I'm somewhat surprised about that, because Mike Kehoe, very popular lieutenant governor and very popular state senator, they're with the Secretary of State. Well, that's only with 1% of the precincts reporting, and they're on the Secretary of State, Jay Ashcroft, with a pretty good lead over the person in second place. State Treasurer, once again, a pretty good sized lead by the Republican Scott Fitzpatrick. And can we see the Attorney General's race? Once again, it's Eric Schmidt with about a 10,000 vote lead. The 3rd Congressional District, Blaine Luetkemeyer with about an 8,000 lead. Vicki Hartzler, once we only got 2% reporting there, so that's not very much. And District 5, Emmanuel Cleaver with a lead. District 6, ooh, that would be a shocker. Sam Graves, the incumbent, is behind in the early going. District 8, Jason Smith with a sizable lead. And then we've got the state senator race. Well, we don't have any numbers there. So, Mitchell, I want to get back with you, and I want to talk to you about the 2 candidates for president. He's not there. Well, then, Kathy,
Okay.
I want to talk to you about it.
All right.
Both candidates were very concerned about getting the Hispanic vote.
Yes, because it is now the largest, I believe, demographic in the country,